live here, and then we will get started with the show. Don't forget, I'm still at a freaking hotel trying to run this thing, so as you can guess, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with the internet, but just like last time, but we'll figure it out. Okay, it says everything's online. Yeah, we're good, dude. It looks like everything's coming through.
Fantastic.
What's going on, brother? How are you?
Living the dream, partner. I understand you got some cool things at an antique shop. Maybe we should talk about those things real quick.
Yeah. So, okay, I just want to make sure that was working. So, just for your reference, Dylan, because I didn't tell you this yet, but we're streaming on PRT, Exposing Reality, and my page tonight. So, hopefully, we'll get a few more people to jump in. If for some reason, guys, I don't see your chats, sorry, get the hell over it. You can come to my personal page. I'll be watching those chats specifically. So if you're on Exposing Reality or PRT, if they don't come through for some reason, fuck it. I don't really care. But yes, I did have some interesting finds today. So I got to explore the town a little bit. I went to Eureka Springs. I got to go to the Crescent Hotel, which for any of you guys out there who are paranormal enthusiasts, you know about the Crescent, which is really, really cool. It was awesome to finally get to see in person after like watching it on TV for so long, you know what I mean? So many different shows have been there, and it's a super old building. I think it was like 1886 is when it was built. So it's really old, and it's got like a ton of, it's almost original, dude. Like it's crazy how much of the original stuff is still in there. And they had like this little rooftop restaurant where you could sit there and eat and drink some beers and stuff, and it was really cool, dude. And then I went antiquing a little bit, found some neat little bone carving things that I picked up, and then something else we'll talk about later. Upcoming show. I don't want to spill the beans on that yet.
Okay. My lips are sealed.
How was your day, man?
You know what? I had a pretty decent day. A pretty slow day, but a pretty decent day. I'm feeling good. I'm glad to be doing another show, especially so soon after the last one.
Right.
This is
we told people we were going to do it.
We told people we were making a little comeback, and it looks like we are. So tonight we are revisiting a topic that I've talked about twice in the past, but we've never discussed together.
Yeah, this is actually one of those topics, dude, that I know very little bit about. You know what I mean? Like I've heard through passing, but it's one of those things that I'll reserve my judgment for later. But mine just said interrupted, but
it's back on, I think.
Yeah, nope. We're good.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So this is a great intro into Hellier, which we brought up revisiting as well. So we're revisiting this because it kind of is a tie-in with Hellier, and of course that is Mothman. So I guess, do you have anything else to say before we just get right into it, Landon?
No. I think this is actually really cool that we're diving into this story ahead of time, because like you said, once you start really going into the whole Hellier series, especially that second season, this is like all they talk about and trying to relate it to their Kentucky case or whatever they're doing. Yeah. So if you don't understand this portion, it's really kind of hard to understand the tie. Yeah.
So we're in. I'll jump right into it.
Yeah.
So 53 years ago in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, an event would take place that would tread on the edge of the supernatural. The Silver Bridge would fall, 37 vehicles would drop, 44 bodies would be recovered, 2 had seemingly disappeared, and 18 people survived. These are the people, not the bodies, recovered. Bodies disappeared, and 18 folks survived. In the days leading up to the event, many witnesses report seeing a large bat-type creature near the bridge. But before we jump into all of that, let's jump back one full year. November 1966, 2 couples riding around riding around the town, spot an abandoned power plant. They claim that the power plant is haunted, and so they go in to kind of investigate. You know, it's the 60s, you're bored, you're with your significant other. They reportedly saw something else that night as well. A creature they described as having wings and bicycle reflector type eyes. The police didn't believe their story until they themselves snuck into the factory and searched it, and they heard strange sounds. It sounded like an uncommon radio static. Over 100 people reported seeing the Mothman in between this time and when the Silver Bridge would collapse later, a year later.
So
After that,
just for clarification, you're saying that the first time that this Mothman was seen was at the power plant.
yes, the first reported, and we'll get more into the story of what happened to them.
Right.
The first reported story is two couples are at the power plant. They decide they're just gonna, they're driving around, and they claim that they saw this large creature.
Right.
And they report it to the police. And the police are like,
you're crazy.
You're full of shit, kids. And the police send out, I believe it was 2 officers. And the officers start searching around. And that's when they start hearing and seeing weird things themselves. And they're like, something doesn't add up here. After the Silver Bridge collapse, the Mothman was never seen again, at least in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. So that's kind of interesting. So, going away from my notes here and into just, kind of conversation,
Right.
There are a lot of people that believe that the Mothman is kind of like a fortune teller, in that the Mothman appears before destruction hits. It's like a warning. And the Mothman being in Point Pleasant was to try to warn the townspeople, hey, the bridge is going to collapse. Okay? A lot of people believe that.
Now, how many people saw the Mothman at the bridge? You said that was the last time he was seen. Was there only one report, or was this like a multiple sighting event?
That is within the 100 reports. As a matter of fact, there are pictures of what some believe were the Mothman over Point Pleasant, over the Silver Bridge before it collapsed.
Legit pictures.
So there are legit pictures.
Oh shit. Okay, I didn't know that.
Legit pictures.
Fair enough.
Yes. Now, the fact that there is a radioactive plant is important, and here's why.
Radioactive plant where? What are you talking about?
That's the abandoned power plant that I was referring to, that the kids were running around.
Right.
In Chernobyl, workers reported seeing a hovering black bird over the plant weeks before the explosion. Okay. So I'm not saying that there's a connection to radiation, because these are the only ties to radiation that there are, but it's kind of interesting that the Mothman is around this original power plant in West Virginia, and there are people that claim around Chernobyl, when it exploded, they saw something similar.
Yeah.
In Minnesota, witnesses saw a humanoid creature with a wingspan near the I-35 bridge right before 13 people died in a collapse.
Okay.
The question that people have is Mothman a monster or an angel? In Germany, miners saw a headless creature with red eyes and wings at a mine. They evacuated, and an hour later it collapsed. So these are all stories, okay, of people who are claiming that they saw a similar type creature. Right. Who, by the way, we didn't have the internet. It wasn't like the conspiracy was running wild.
Right.
These are people in different countries who are claiming they saw a similar creature. The only people who were smart enough to leave were the people in Germany. They evacuated and then the mine collapsed.
So, so was the Germany thing after the bridge collapse and the
To my
Chernobyl thing?
knowledge, okay, so you'll have to pardon because I took these notes, like I said, these were from
Right, right, right.
2019, and I did not do a good job of putting dates in.
Okay.
I believe, however, this is all chronological.
So where my mind is thinking is like, okay, why? First off, why are the Germans the smart ones to just dip out after they see this creature? Maybe they had heard about these other ones, and that's kind of where I was.
Well, knowing how I take notes, I would say that these were all chronological,
Okay,
but I don't know for certain.
gotcha.
Um, so then we get to what was at the time the most recent encounter, and I have to be honest, I did not look into this to see if there is something more recent.
Okay,
In 2017, it's 2017, 55 people in Chicago claim to have seen the Mothman, but disaster never struck.
okay,
So you have 55 people. By the way, this isn't like a connected event. It isn't like these people are all in the same area. Like, it wasn't like all of these people were in the same school and they're like, oh, we saw it and I saw it. It was 55 different reports that people saw what they believed to be a Mothman type creature,
right.
and disaster never struck. See, that's odd. That's interesting. Cause now this is when like the folks over on the old show would be like, "It's aliens, brother," you know, like they
Well,
would
I
be
actually
full
wrote that
fucking.
down. Like, is that a possibility? So maybe I'm crazy too, but
Listen, it could be,
right,
but the thing that's interesting about all of these sightings is, to my knowledge, as I recall, these were all in broad daylight except for the original sighting.
right.
The
So
original sighting,
go ahead.
the original sighting was the only sighting that was at night,
Right.
to my knowledge.
Okay. Which I could just to be the skeptic here on the original sighting. You're standing outside, or you're outside in a car, whatever, a massive power plant. I'm assuming this power plant is active and this isn't abandoned. Um, in that case, you're going to have a ton of electromagnetic energy that's going to be around that area, especially if it's producing a ton of, a bunch of electricity for a city or whatever. And as you know, that can cause, I mean, depending on the levels, um, hallucinations to seeing things to whatever. You know what I mean? Um, but then also you're dealing with the fact that it's nighttime, and at nighttime you can mistake a lot of things. Um, I mean, who knows? It could have just been a massive falcon or something. I mean, I don't know, an
So
eagle or something.
it's interesting that you say that,
Yeah.
and here's why. This is what their full story is,
Okay.
and I don't have this written down, so I'm going off of memory.
Right.
But their story is that they were freaked out by what they saw. They got in their vehicle and they started driving.
Okay.
They were going about 60 miles an hour, and they believe that what they saw, this creature, was keeping up with them.
Oh,
But
shit.
not just keeping up with them, it ended up in front of them.
Wow.
And around the time it was like on or near their vehicle, apparently there were like their lights were like flickering, like weird shit started happening. And they all got a good look at this creature, and they said the thing was blacker than night. It had huge wings. It was just kind of floating there, and everyone who saw it said the same thing. Its eyes were bicycle reflectors. He said its eyes were so prominent. And that's a that's a key detail, because to me, that's the type of detail that's either, number one, so specific it's made up, or it's so specific that they saw this.
Right. Yeah, I've
Okay.
seen like the picture in Point Pleasant of the statue, and I mean, yeah, it's got freaking massive eyes.
We'll
So
we'll be getting to that in a bit. So to continue here, the entire town of Point Pleasant believes uh, believes in the original Mothman sighting. Um, they believe the description. The description is exactly what I said: a humanoid creature with massive wings, glowing red eyes. It's also described as being 6 or 7 feet tall.
hmm,
However, the wings are a point of conflict. Some describe seeing feathers, others describe seeing webbing like a bat. Okay.
okay.
This is where the term Mothman comes from. An anonymous editor from Ohio came up with the title. Um, no one knows who that person is. We just know it showed up in the Ohio paper. It was an editor, and they had been calling it something up until this point. And the person said, "It's the Mothman," and they loved it and ran with it.
Yeah, I see
Um,
some guy writing newspaper articles, and they're like, "All right, we got to put something compelling on this front page to make people buy this shit." Uh, Here we go,
yeah.
Mothman. I can see it right now, big ass black letters, Mothman.
So, Dr. Robert L. Smith proposed that in 1966 these people were seeing something, but what they were actually seeing was a sandhill crane. Dr. Smith published, quote, "I definitely believe that's what these people are seeing. The sandhill crane has a 6.5-foot wingspan. They are 3 to 4 feet tall. They also have red patches surrounding their eyes. Sandhill cranes also do commonly live in West Virginia. Others believe the sightings were of uh, a I can't read my writing there. Okay, a a barned a barned a barn owl,
Barn owl,
I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
believe.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Um,
But
and
but first off, there can't be no freaking crane that can fly 60 miles an hour. And come on,
okay, so
come on.
that's that is where, see, if you notice, Landon, we've gone through the notes relatively quick.
Right.
Here's why. Because now we get to have the discussion, which was
Okay.
my favorite part of doing this show
So I
every
should have
time
shut
in the
up
past.
before now.
Oh no, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay.
So, well, it's how I've always taken notes, was just sometimes we stop, sometimes we don't. But I like to have that discussion towards the end, because it's just, I really get to start throwing blows at people.
Right.
So here's the deal. There is a major discrepancy between something that is 7 foot tall and something that's 3 foot tall.
Yeah.
A major discrepancy. I mean, that's like the size of a dog compared to Michael Jordan.
Right.
I mean, how do you get that confused?
And yeah, it doesn't happen.
That's Having said that, I had talked about how a lot of the townspeople of Point Pleasant believe that the original story is real. A lot of the members of Point Pleasant believe it's complete bullshit,
Right.
but they're not mad at it,
No.
because there's a con, like I think it's like Mothman Con or some shit,
Yeah.
where hundreds of thousands of people go to this little town in West Virginia that's struggling and spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars each year. So they love it.
You,
Because even though it's complete bullshit, it really is keeping their economy and keeping their town alive.
so I told you I know very minimal about this story, but oftentimes when we're doing our paranormal investigations and stuff throughout cities, and we're talking with, mayors or police chiefs and things like that that have a place that's reportedly haunted, that they're trying to get people, to come in and investigate and, try to generate some money to keep the buildings in repair and whatnot. They're always like, how can we increase our numbers to get more people in here? And every time I always tell them, I said, you just need to become a new Mount Pleasant. You just need to come up with some creature that is here that you're going to be known for.
Yeah.
Erect a 15-foot statue of it, and then start a freaking conference that's every year, and people will come.
My least favorite interview. My least favorite interviews were always the interviews where we were talking to people who owned haunted locations.
Yeah.
And here's why. These are people that'll come on the show and tell you, oh, I know nothing about the paranormal. And they will proceed to tell you an entire lore of this ghost or creature that they shouldn't even give a fuck about or know anything about. And then you're like, well, have you ever seen anything? You spend the most time there, and they're like, I've seen some things move. The third floor, it's a little spooky. One of the lights flickers. But there's never like, oh yeah, I saw a full-bodied apparition ghost just walking down the stairs one day.
Right.
They never have that. And I feel like it's very much the same thing. It's like, well, if I'm an establishment, how do I get business? And it's like, just tell people you're haunted.
Right.
Just tell people you're haunted, and they'll show up. Just tell people you have a haunted abandoned prison, you have a haunted motel, you have a haunted hotel. What was that hotel they used in The Shining?
Oh,
do you know the name of it?
Yeah, it's out in Estes Park, Colorado. It's the Shanley.
Yeah, the Stanley Hotel. The Stanley Hotel. How many fucking people go to the Stanley Hotel just because The Shining was there?
I went there.
And how many people now have seen? I'll give you a hint. I believe there's a con for The Shining too.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. This is where we kind of tie with Hellier. You know what I mean? Because the people in Hellier were the people putting on the events there.
And that's where we get into my feeling on Hellier has been the same always, right. And other people have started fluctuating their opinions.
Yeah.
Because I said from the start, this is all bullshit.
Yeah.
I said the only thing that's odd to me, and we'll get into this more when we talk about Hellier, is that they had the email years before they investigated it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's odd to me. That's what's odd to
I'm
me.
not going to give my opinion there because I don't want to ruin that show, but yes. I even go further than that, but yes.
You go further than that? I want to do this fucking show now. Why are we waiting? I want to do this show. But yeah, so the thing with Point Pleasant, the thing with the Mothman, and the thing with these sightings is, when we originally had the discussion was, is this thing evil? Is this thing nice? Or is it just something and people don't know what they're seeing?
Right.
And here's the deal. There are a lot of sightings of whatever. To me, it's shitty because the majority of the people who have stories are probably dead.
I would assume. Or close to it.
Or close to it. Like the people who were teenagers in 1966 are getting up there. They might still be alive, but I doubt they're talking.
Right.
The people who were in Chernobyl while it was blowing up, those people are dead.
Right.
The people who were in Germany and the mine exploded, I don't speak German. So the people in 2017, an event never happened. What are we correlating that to? And I guess it's like, well, do you want somebody who saw the Phoenix Lights on your show to tell you that they saw the Phoenix Lights, or do you want Kurt Russell on your show because he's Kurt Russell and he supposedly saw the Phoenix Lights?
Right.
Like, there's nobody who's reckonable, even in the community. And they say it's bullshit openly. So who do you interview at that point? Who do you go for research?
Well, that was one of these questions that I wrote down here. Was out of those sightings, like, who are these people that are reporting? First off, who the hell do you go to when you say, okay, I just saw Mothman? Who do you report that to, right? Are you reporting it to the police? Or are you reporting it to a newspaper?
That's the other thing, is that because this is back in the day, like, I don't know where the original reports are. Right. Like, if there are original police reports. And so, yeah, you're right. It's like, oh, well, 55 people reported this, here. Can I see some of those reports?
Yeah, to who?
Can I?
Where?
Yeah, who'd they report? So
their neighbor?
That's another interesting thing. Maybe I could have dove deeper at this point. This, I will say, was one of those things that this was the show that we did. We did this show and the Jersey Devil together.
Yeah. I actually remember the show. I'm pretty sure I was watching this one.
And the next show we did was Hellier.
Yeah.
And the reason that we did Mothman kind of short was because we had talked about it before and just wanted to be brief before we did Hellier. And we knew it wasn't long enough for a full show, so we did the Jersey Devil as well. Hellier's going to be an interesting one because there's a lot of confusion in Hellier.
Oh yeah.
And I'm generally curious because we're going to do a rewatch, correct? We're rewatching the Hellier.
Yeah, we can. Let's see. We can actually go ahead and figure out a date that we can do this if you want.
Yeah, so this is why I say that. So I say, see, when we did it, we split up part 1 and 2, and I don't think we ever got to season 2 and did that as a show.
We did, yeah.
I want to do it all at one time.
Yeah, me too. Because it all ties together.
How long it takes. Yeah, exactly. I want to do everything all at one time.
Right.
And what I'll do is I'll probably more than likely take my original notes and revise them, and then I'll take whole new notes for the shit that I haven't watched.
Right.
And that'll be kind of what our show is, because I can go in here and show you how this is what we got. This is Hellier. That's a substantial amount of pages in my little notebook.
For season 1.
For season 1.
Right.
Because I literally wrote Hellier like I was doing play-by-play. And, yeah.
It's funny.
I'm excited
I had a massive note in my old phone when I was watching the show, and I was like, here, look this up. Here, do this. You know what I mean? Because I don't really want to go into that whole show right now, just because I won't stop. Mm-hmm. But
yeah.
Let's just say this: you're pretty much open to whatever, right? So
yeah.
How about we do it on the 28th at 9 p.m. Eastern? That gives us 1, 2, 3 weeks in a day. Because I know I'm going to be home that week. That gives us 3 weeks to watch 2 seasons of this show and figure it out.
Do you think 9 might be a bit late though if we're going long?
Well, I only say that because I'm probably going to have my little one and I'm going to need to get her to sleep before we do it. And since it's going to be long, I don't want to.
Yeah, that'll work then. That'll 100% work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go, everybody. Hellier will be the 28th.
9 p.m. Eastern. I will be back home with real internet.
And we would also, for anyone who's maybe watching, and God, I doubt it, but you can watch Hellier before then, get your own opinions, and we can have a whole big discussion. I'm sure this is something that Landon's going to promote for the next couple of weeks for us,
Yeah,
all over the place. Hopefully, it's a show where people tune in. But we're gonna both revisit Hellier, which is kind of cool. Um, yeah,
yeah. So we'll do that. I'll get some posts up, some get an event made and all that, so we can get a piss ton of people to watch it.
I'm not gonna spoil the stuff we have in the future. Obviously, people know about the Kennedy show and whatnot, but like some of the shows that we have coming up might be some of the most creative, best shows we've ever come up with.
Yeah.
Like the one we were just talking about before we went on air, that might be my greatest idea.
And I think that we can do that with more things within that genre. I mean, that's an endless.
I would love to do that. Like I said, I didn't know that was a part of the oddity bubble.
Dude, listen, we're not part of any oddity bullshit, and we're not anything. We can talk about anything. I don't care if you want to talk about how shrimps have sex. I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we can definitely do that for more type things like that. And I'm really excited for those. I am really excited. I'm almost more excited for the commentary that we'll do after those types of shows.
Right.
Because I think that'll be cool.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
And I think it's safe to announce that like we are going to try to do more things after the show ends.
Yeah.
Just a little hint for things to come. We're going to start doing things after the show ends that you guys can actually interact on a much better scale.
Yeah, we'll say this. And I'll get this set up. We're gonna start up a Discord server for this show because I want to go ahead and start getting people to try to join that, so it's not like the last second you're trying to figure out how to do it. And then that way we can do somewhat of an after show or something where, you guys can come in and just chit chat with us. Hell, at the end of our shows, what we can do is we can open up that Discord line so anybody that's in the voice in Discord can literally come on live with us here, and we can answer any questions maybe we didn't go over, or you can give your input for the last 10 minutes of the show. We're going to use that to tie. I do want to see those pictures. I didn't know there was pictures. I'm actually going to write that down.
Yep.
Just because, like, you know how easily photography can be manipulated.
Yep.
So I'm curious to see about that. And then I also really want to try and figure out, like, it's not even necessarily just about this particular story, but every story. If we keep hearing these, 63 people reported this, who the fuck are you reporting it to? You know what I mean?
And
like,
where is the list? Like, how do we know 63? It's definitively 63, not 64,
right.
But not 62. It's 63. How do we? Where the fuck does that come
You're
from?
super specific.
Like that was always my big issue with like Bigfoot. Is it's like, there have been 23 sightings of Bigfoot in the last 3 months.
We got Rick in the chat.
These are, 23 people who are just searching for Bigfoot, I feel like Mothman's no different. Having said that, the original, to me, holds levity because the police saw some shit, the kids described something really crazy, and nobody else really matches that original description.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, I know for a fact that, like, if you see a UFO, you can report that to MUFON. So I know that there's that agency that is taking those reports and categorizing them and taking. So I understand the UFOs, right? They have their place, and if I wanted some information, I could probably just email MUFON and be like, hey, on this day, did you have a report? I guarantee you they would probably tell me yes or whatever, but chances are I wouldn't be able to contact the people who actually made the report because they're going to keep that private, I'm sure.
But how many of these reports, though, are just bullshit? Just people making shit up?
I would say that it's probably more common nowadays than it would have been way back when. Just for
Agreed.
the simple fact that the internet and, like, the media will hype things and people get this in their head, and then they start to project the things that they're thinking.
But way back then, people would have thought that they were crazy. Nowadays, you can see and
That's why I find those more credible. That's why I find the older ones more credible.
Yeah.
Is because, and depending on how far back we're talking, I mean, you could be murdered or you could be killed. You could be executed for even claiming that you saw something like that.
The witchcraft.
Right now.
Oh, that's an interesting topic.
Right. But right now, it's like you are almost rewarded if you see these things, if you report these things. You're looked at as more of a professional in that. You know what I mean? Like
you're in the community, so to speak.
You
when
have
people
a lot
come
more
around town,
like
that's always been my thing with like those UFO encounters shows and whatever.
Yeah.
Like Eddie had me watch one where these dudes go to this group of people go to Dublin, Texas, and they go to a town hall meeting, and they're just like, so who here's seen aliens? Every hand's raised in the. It's like, yeah, duh. These people all want to be on fucking TV, you assholes. Like, they're gonna tell you whatever. And then one dude goes, "Oh yeah, I was hunting broad daylight, and I saw something up in the air, so I pointed my gun at it, and I saw how ridged it was, and I was like, oh, that's massive. And then I took my scope away, and I noticed how big it was. It's blocking out the sun right above me, and I'm like, Jesus, this is all bullshit, man. These people just want to be on TV." Because that's the thing. There's an item in the sky so massive it's blocking out the sun, and you're the only one that sees it.
Yeah, that's weird. Huh?
Like that's not suspicious.
Like I would almost be to the belief that even aliens and things like that don't exist just because of the people that are reporting. But the thing that makes me still kind of somewhat hold on to that is that there are more credible people who I would say are more credible that have seen it with high-tech equipment, like these fighter jet pilots, who are highly skilled, trained military professionals. And there's many of them. It's not like it's just one person that's saying that we're just having to back up one person's story. They don't let just anybody become a pilot. Like, to pilot a multi-billion-dollar aircraft. Like, you have to be a highly qualified person and a highly intelligent person to be able to even be in that position to even see something like that. So to then go and report it and not only report it, but you look at the footage and stuff that's being
released. They have visuals, yeah.
And on these jets and things, we're talking about radar and infrared that are like multi-million-dollar cameras, like the highest tech that we possibly have. That's where I lend more credibility to a story like that as to like this Mothman. It's just kind of like, I'm not saying it's not true. I don't believe it's true, but I'm not saying I don't have enough information. There's not enough there for me to be like, oh yeah, I think that's probably real. I would still go to Point Pleasant and see all this stuff, and yeah. I just find it interesting, but you're not going to hear me say, yeah, you know what, Mothman's that's the one that's real. You know?
See, and that's the thing is, it's like, I'd like to point out I ruined Mothman for myself. Because when I started in the paranormal, I was like, you know what? Mothman's more believable than Bigfoot. I said Mothman might not be real, but it's more believable than Bigfoot. I
You really
I
thought
think they're
that?
all. Yeah, I really did. You can ask Eddie.
Why would you think that though? That's kind of strange to me.
Because I felt like, you know what? Let's just assume that this Mothman is a creature that's only out at night. You know, a lot of the areas, the Point Pleasant area, for the most part, it's pretty dense forest, from what I understand.
Hmm.
There's a possibility that if a nocturnal creature is running around and it has flight and the speed that it's described to have, that maybe nobody's going to find it.
Right.
To me, it's more reasonable that something that can travel at 65 miles an hour on the, in the air is going to be harder to find than something that travels 20 miles an hour on the ground, you know?
Right.
I don't know. I felt like if one made sense, it was the Mothman. You know, if one made sense, it was the Mothman. The Loch Ness monster doesn't make sense to me. Sasquatch doesn't make sense to me. But you know what? A large moth kind of makes sense. I can kind of get behind that.
7 foot tall moth.
Well, according to the other guy, it's 3 feet tall. You know, that's the
Right.
thing, is how tall is it?
Right.
It's like when you're in your basement and you see a spider and your daughter sees it and she's like, oh, it's 10 feet tall. You know,
It's
when
huge!
people are scared, they indulge, now
Right.
I'm not saying that these people, but what I'm saying is it's probably the original group saw this bird that's 3 feet tall and they were so scared they're like, oh, it looked like Michael Jordan with wings, you
Right.
know. um
I do
I think
remember. I remember, dude, that there was another story. I'm trying to remember where it was. I want to say it was like Ireland or something. That had a very very similar creature to the Mothman. Um, damn, what was the name of that creature? I was listening to a podcast about it, and they were referencing Mothman and how it was how the story was very similar. Fuck, I can't remember the name of it. I want to say it was Ireland or something like that. I'm gonna look that up because it was very similar, except that I think that this one had green eyes, like it was really known to have green eyes, um, and that was like the one thing that it was, known for over there.
that's the thing that's weird too, by the way, is like when I was doing cryptid stories in 2019, we had done it just a handful of cryptids.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there was this website where you could type in like what your state was,
Right.
and it would pop up all the cryptids that are in your state.
Mm.
There's hundreds of thousands of made up animals
Right.
just chilling on this website. By the way, just chilling on this website, all with like photoshopped pictures to show you what it could look like.
Yeah, like drawings and stuff or whatever.
Yeah. Like, and I can't tell you how many of them are just the same description over and over again. Like, not only does every state have a Sasquatch, every state has a Yeti, which is slightly different than a Sasquatch. They have a Yik Yak or some shit, which is the Native American equivalent of a Sasquatch. Like, it's the weirdest shit. We can't find one of these things, but there's 25 different ones just chilling.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so fucking funny to me.
Yeah, that is strange. It's freaking weird.
I hope I can find that site again. That's great.
Yeah, there was actually I follow this artist who's on YouTube, named 1000, and he does these random videos where he'll go on like a website and they have like these cryptid creator things, like you press a button and it like creates a cryptid for you, and then he tries to draw whatever the script, but it has like descriptions, heights, weights, like their interests, what they eat. and it just like random generates these cryptids, and it's almost like somebody's sitting there just hitting generate, writing a report to send to these mystery people who hold the reports.
And see, that's what's funny. So when Eddie was doing stuff with the Deadly Dogman,
Right.
and I think he is still, I don't really know. Anywho, there was a website he sent me, and I have to see if he can find it, or if I can find it. It was this website where you go on there, and it's legitimate people's reports of seeing the Deadly Dogman.
Yeah.
What they do is they go on this site and write up their report. And Eddie was like, type in Pennsylvania, type in where you're from, it'll pop up. And I was like, there were 2 that popped up. And I'll tell you what, man, one of them scared me shitless.
Really?
One of them legitimately, and what's funny is the lady was talking about like road names, and I knew exactly where she was. And I was just thinking about it. I'm like, if this happened there, I could kind of see it.
Really?
But she had a very similar story to like the Mothman people, where she claimed she was on this road, and it's a wooded road. It's bendy. It's, Pennsylvania, everything's fucked up roads and bends and gay. So she's on this road and she's driving, and she sees a large creature on the side of the road. She thinks it's a bear.
Yeah.
Okay. So she stops because she's afraid of the bear. She don't want the bear to run out in front of her and destroy her car.
Okay.
It's nighttime. It's dark. She says this thing like turned around and looked at her and stood up. And she said this thing was huge, and it had the face of a dog, and she just floored it. And she said the second she took off, this thing took off, and she's driving down the street, punching 85, and this thing, she looks over to her left, and in the trees, this thing's keeping up with her, just like in the brush.
Oh, fuck that! Just like
and
a
I'm
movie,
sitting
dude.
there,
I can see
and
this
I'm
being
sitting there
filmed.
thinking, like, fuck that noise. But then, like, I was reading stories from like people from all sorts of different states, people who have like shot at this thing, people who, some of them have like very science fiction type stories. Like there was one dude that's like talking about how it has his he knows that they have his scent and they're coming for him. Wacky shit.
And figure out where the hell we would report it. That's your goal. All right? You do Mothman, and I'll do the dog. No, you said there was a dog man. I'll do do Bigfoot. There isn't. I don't know of a Bigfoot one. And we're gonna figure out who. See, here's the thing with Bigfoot. This is where I know a little bit about it. Like there's a lady out there. Her name is Dr. Melba Ketchum, and she does like I tried to get her on my podcast, and this was like a couple years ago, but she's way out of my league to talk to somebody like me who has no listeners. But she takes like reports of Bigfoot where there's like evidence of it, like hair or whatever, and she does these DNA analysis on it, like whatever type of analysis she's talking about is like super expensive because you're breaking it down by the genes and like really diving in as deep as you can, and it's an expensive process to do. But she has like a whole bunch of different things that came back to where it was like unidentified. It doesn't match anything that's currently out there. So as far as something like that, that's who I would know to report that to. But as far as just a simple sighting, I mean, I almost want to say like you could literally just reach out to your local newspaper or television station. You know what I mean? Like, but then again, like, who's keeping record of these events?
But not only that, it's like if you're one of those people that maybe isn't a huge fan of like the media, who's to say there aren't just a bunch of guys sitting in a newsroom? It's a boring Wednesday. We'll tell people that there was a Mothman sighting in the area.
Well, dude, you got to think if back when that bridge collapsed, if there was photos and a bunch of, you said there was a bunch of people who had seen it 50 or whatever. If you put that, obviously the bridge collapse is going to be in the newspaper. And so now they're, maybe not the first day after the bridge collapse, but maybe a couple days after, they're like, oh, here's this mysterious photo and this crazy story that somebody told us, and we put that in the newspaper. Well, then if that sucker sells, you know what I mean? The crazier the better, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a book, and I think I've talked about this a couple times before, by this guy named Eric Bischoff, who's an old WWE guy. He wrote a book called Controversy Creates Cash. It's an awesome book. You guys should totally read it. But the entire thing is simply that, coming up with ideas that are controversial and exploiting those creates cash, right? It creates this environment where people want to be involved with it and elaborate on and argue about it and things like that. So I almost feel like that's what's happening with a lot of these newspapers or local media or whatever who's dealing with that type of thing. Let's just come up with this super controversial story that we can spit out there and everybody can argue about, because they're gonna come by tomorrow's newspaper if we put something else in it.
So I have information.
Oh yeah?
There has been recent sightings of the Mothman in Chicago, most famously at the O'Hare International Airport.
Okay.
That's kind of spooky. A quote was taken from a witness's statement given to Singular Fortean Society. I don't know what that is. The witness was a 17-year veteran of the U.S. Postal Service. She was walking to her car after leaving work one night. She spotted a 7-foot-tall, red-eyed creature striding towards her. This is what she said. I saw that. This thing. It wasn't a person, but some red-eyed thing. And what appeared to be a coat was actually wings, which it spread out as it turned to look at me. Ooh. Ooh. Sounds like the Mothman's kind of rapey.
Oh my god.
She stated that the figure then flew above her, emitting a screeching sound as she hurried to her car and drove away. However, the anonymous postal employee is not the first person reported to have seen a tall winged man flying above. And it goes on to talk about how the first sightings were in a West Virginia town in the 60s. Yeah, just talking about the physical characteristics, what the behavior is. Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting, dude. I don't know. If you were to have to run into a dog man or a Bigfoot or a Mothman, which one would you rather run into?
So, according to the evidence that I've been falsely given, okay, from all of these people who believe in these things,
right.
A dog man, if you're around a dog man, it will smell you, catch your scent, and it will not stop until you're dead. Okay? This is what they will tell you. So not that one.
Okay.
A Mothman, while creepy, maybe a little rapey, a Mothman has not harmed anybody.
That's
and
fair.
A Bigfoot, I feel like I just don't want to take the chances. So I think Mothman's the easy answer.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. I had a lady on my previous show this was literally, dude, like my third episode of ever doing a podcast. This lady I had on, her name was Edie Kaido. I don't know how the hell I remember that. But she was a Bigfoot lady who apparently, the whole reason I had her on is because she kept saying how Bigfoot is super friendly and, it's like a family man type person, right? And she like communicates with these beings or whatever. Because I've always heard I've always thought mostly that Bigfoot would be like super scary and aggressive, and you just don't want to, you know what I mean? Like everybody's like, oh, if you ever see one, don't try to approach it. You don't want to get killed, you know? So I had her on because she was talking the opposite of everything that I had ever heard. Where do you lie on if a Bigfoot did exist? Do you believe it's more aggressive or more of a passive, friendly type creature?
So, as you know, I have to answer every question you ask me, but I have to ask a question first.
Mm-hmm.
Is the assumption there's more than one of these creatures?
I don't know.
Okay. If we're assuming there's more than one,
Mm-hmm.
I would assume it's different depending on what one.
Okay.
Like maybe one lives right outside of a community and it knows what cars and people are, you know, maybe it's more friendly, like a dog. But maybe there's one in the Appalachian Mountain that hasn't, you know, he doesn't know what these strange spacecrafts are and he doesn't want you walking in his swamp, you know. Maybe that one will rip your head off.
Fair enough. Almost like these stupid religious people that go to these crazy tribes of people who've never seen another race, and then they just get murdered, just fucking
just
destroyed.
Get murdered. We're here to save you. Meanwhile, yeah, this is a community that's never seen other people. To them, you're taking their land.
Listen to me, assholes, you religious fucks that are out there. Do not go to these damn people who don't even know that other people exist in the world, trying to spread your bullshit to them. For one,
it's always a rant.
For one, you're going to kill them because you have diseases that they've never even heard of. Two, you're spreading bullshit and you're killing them at the same time. Okay?
I hope that Landon's neighbor in this hotel is some old religious lady and she just comes over and knocks on the door and leaves a Bible.
It's funny you say that. Because, what was it? Not last night. The first night I was here, I was alone in this hotel.
Yeah, there was nobody.
The night before last, the guy that was next to me was this big old black guy. And he had the deepest, loudest voice I've ever heard in my entire life. Mm-hmm. And he was right on that side of the wall there, just having this conversation about how Jesus changed his life and how this and that and all this crap. And I sat there and it was a phone call. So I was sitting there thinking, okay, eventually this stupid thing's going to end. Like, I'll give it 30 minutes. Hopefully it'll just get off. But he just kept going. And he was like getting all intense about it. And I'm like, he could have been talking about anything else and I would have probably been okay. But like, this is just a trigger for me, right? So I get up out of my bed. I put my fucking shorts on. I put my shirt on. I walk my happy ass over to this door. Can you shut the fuck up?
That's funny.
That's essentially what I told him. I was like, hey man, I can't listen to this anymore. I am an atheist and I do not want to hear this. Can you please keep it down? And he just kind of looked at me crazy and I just walked off and walked to my bed and I didn't hear him the rest of the night. So obviously that worked. Dennis Clannon's in the chat. Dennis, I know for a fact, when we went with Eddie, or actually Dennis wasn't there when we were with Eddie, but when me and Aaron Shriver went to the Bel Air house, Dennis, on his way home, actually went to Mount Pleasant to see the Mothman stuff. So this is cool, Dennis.
Point Pleasant.
Point Pleasant, sorry. So that's cool that you're joining in. You probably missed most of the conversation, and you would have been a big help, Dennis. But thanks for joining in. Good to see you, bud.
Talking about the Mothman. I'll tell you, because we're in the winding down part of the show where we're just bullshitting.
Right.
I'll tell you a story about when I was in a hotel.
Okay.
So, um, I'm in a hotel in West Virginia. And if you know anything about I have a couple of these stories. I'll keep it brief. If you know anything about hotels in West Virginia, they are the worst.
Really?
They are the worst hotels in the world. So we go to
Before
this
you go to
hotel.
this, Dennis literally just put in the chat right now. He said, "Yeah, I did go to see the Mothman, but the problem is he's in Chicago now." I was just like, just to clarify, you just read that report of him in Chicago, and he already knew about that.
Yep.
Wow.
Um,
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, West Virginia hotel.
yeah, so I go to this hotel and I ask the excuse me, I have to close this tab. I ask I ask the lady, I say, "Listen, I need a room that's just away from fucking everything."
Yeah.
I said, "If I can't get that room," I said, "any room will do." This lady takes me to a room in the center of the hotel, surrounded by literally everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at the door. And when I tell you, between the floor and the bottom of the door, there is a gap yay big.
What?
And I'm looking at the other doors and I'm like, no other door has this. There was zero privacy in this fucking place. So then we walk into the hotel. We walk into the room and there's like a fucking camera or some shit. It looked like, see, because I rationalized in my head that it was just like a DVR. But then I started thinking in my mind, no hotel has a DVR in 2020. I swear to God, it was it was the most fucked up trip of my life. Then I have another time I go to West Virginia. We're in a hotel, and I go to sleep, and I'm taking a shower. I'm getting ready, for the next day. I go to sleep, and I wake up, and the first thing I hear is, uh, uh, and I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. And then there's some lady moaning, and I'm like, and I wake up the person I was with, and I just go, "Hey, we need to get out of here." He's like, "Why?" It's like, the people next door are filming. They're filming a special video. And he just starts knocking on the wall, like you did. "Hey, asshole, there's people here. We don't want to hear this." Oh, man. West Virginia hotels, you'll see more weird shit in West Virginia than you will see anywhere else in this country. I mean, I'm talking like people with pickup trucks with air conditioning units in the fucking back, like feeding air to the truck.
Oh, that's gangster.
Like they bust out the back window and put one of like the wall units into their, yeah. But there was a van. There was a van once covered in stuffed animals. Just covered in stuffed
Like
animals.
the outside?
Yeah.
What?
Except for the windows that ran on like the back, like the storage part.
Right.
Those had stuffed animals all on the inside. Just looking out at you. The shit that I've seen in West Virginia. I used to go to West Virginia for on some work stuff every couple weeks. The shit that I saw there was unmatched compared to anything I've seen anywhere else.
Hey, I got to share this with you before we get off here. Look, before we did the show, Drew Estates,
Of course, is my. All right, go ahead.
right? So they were doing they released a few new cigars today, and they were doing a live event on Facebook or whatever. Well, I typically watch those just because I want to know like what's coming out, what's new. I like to try all the Drew Estate stuff. Love them. So I'm watching the event, and it's really cool. And I click their link or whatever, it takes me to their website and it pulls up like all of their retailers who are throwing parties for Drew Estate for the live event. And so I pull it up and I'm like, literally, there's only 3 in Arkansas that are on this website. 2 of them are in Little Rock, and 1 of them is a half a mile away from my hotel right now. So I got my shit and I ran over there. I was like, oh, dude, this is going to be cool. So I got in there. There was a ton of people. The place was packed out. You know, they're giving away all this free stuff. There was raffles like every 15 minutes while they're doing this event and stuff. And I actually won 3 cigars while I was there, and I figured I'd share them with you. I won the Croqueta, which is actually 2 cigars in this little glass vial. And I've never had those before, which is pretty cool. I won a factory smoke, which is their cheap everyday cigar. They're like nothing for, you know, they're like $2 a piece. But then I also got this one. Have you ever seen the water towers that they have? The little water towers, and the top's like a humidor.
Yep.
These were the cigars that were in one of those water towers.
What were the cigars that Drew Estates put out maybe 2 months ago with the Dominoes? It came with a pack of Dominoes. Do you remember those?
Yeah, that's the Harelli Esteli or whatever. Which is, it's funny you bring that up because actually, right here they gave me this card. May 20th, 5 to 9, they're having another Drew Estate event. And here, this is where you can get the Dominoes pack. So in order to get it, you have to buy a case of cigars. You buy one box of cigars.
Yep. Buy the whole box. Yep.
They give you give you a ashtray. They give you the Dominoes set and a fold-up chair.
When I went when it was the it was that cigarette that they aged for like 12 years or some shit.
Oh yeah.
That cigar that they aged for 10 years.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
First off, I had one. Drew Estates, I love you. But that was the most overrated cigar I've ever had in my fucking life.
Right.
But I bought a box of the Dominoes cigars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they're at. I must have left them there or something. Place 2 hours away from me. Yeah, I don't have any of those places near me. Place 2 hours away from me.
Right.
We had so much fun. We had so much fun at that event.
Oh, dude, I had a blast. I was by myself, dude, and I had a freaking blast at this place.
For me, it was me and my 2 buddies, and I'm pissed now because our Dominoes didn't come with the chair in the ashtray. We just got the box of cigars, and the Dominoes were in there, and the chairs were like promotional items. They were like raffling off and shit.
Oh no, this one, dude. I wish I took a picture of it. Actually, here I did take a picture, so I can probably tell you exactly what that cigar is. Yeah, it's the Harelli Esteli, the red one. But yeah, they're
right.
giving away hats and everything. It's that one.
Oh, I would love a hat. Yeah, so it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned Drew Estates because, you know, the FDA is getting rid of menthol cigarettes and flavored cigars.
Yeah, I want to look into that. And it's not has it been like signed in yet, or is that still
So the FDA is pushing it through. They don't have a time frame, but basically what the FDA says goes. I mean, there isn't really room for argument when it comes to the FDA.
So this is where I want to look into actually what they're trying to say, because I'm in a ton of Drew Estates groups on Facebook and stuff like that, and people were talking about it and arguing back and forth. But there's a lot of people that are saying that only applies to like lower grade
black
cigars,
and milds and whatnot.
things that are actually they even had quotes on it, machine made cigars or cigarettes.
From my understanding, that those are all made in this country. The exports are kind of just getting cut off completely.
Oh.
That's my understanding of it.
Well, that
So like, but even then though, if you look at it like a Drew Estates, a lot of their cigars are flavored cigars.
well, yes. Um, well, no, not necessarily. A lot of their flavors pretty much only fall under the acid line. So like all of the acid ones are the flavored ones. But pretty much all of their other cigars are just blends of tobacco.
But that's also acid tends to be a pretty well known.
Oh, it's one of their most popular ones for
I
sure.
mean, that's the thing is like you're getting rid of because you're right. It's the acid are really where they target the flavor. Speaking of which, uh, 2 seconds.
Yeah,
Keep the audience entertained, Landon.
I'm actually a massive fan of acid cigars. So if they do get rid of them, I'm going to be highly upset. But what's going to end up happening is I'm going to freaking buy a bunch of them before they do cancel it. I don't think that's the case though. There was actually during that live event they were. I'll let him jump on here so he can hear this. But actually, during that live event, they were asking, or you were able to ask them questions, and there was quite a few people in there who were asking, how do you guys feel about the acid line with this new blah 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 FDA whatever, and they never did answer it. So I don't know specifically what's going to come. Like I said, I want to read. I haven't looked into it at all, so I want to read up and see what the wording is, because that's where it's going to come down to is the details.
If I had to guess, it's something that they're trying to avoid. So the reason that I stepped away, which I hate to do, is I'm a big cigarillo fan,
Mm-hmm.
and I have the acid cigars,
Oh yeah,
cigarillos.
yeah.
I have probably the second best cigars, cigarillos. These are the Romeo and Julieta.
Mm-hmm.
Now, interesting fact about these, the reason that I found these, I was watching Joe Rogan, and Ron White smokes these.
Oh really?
And Ron White gave a plug. Not that he was like being sponsored or anything, but he gave a plug. And and I think you would like these a lot, Landon. The Sweet Jane.
Oh, I've had those. I have had a bunch of those. I
Drew
love the
Estates.
Sweet Jane.
Drew Estates is just
Deadwood, man.
the best.
Now,
And this is the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Have you had the other two Deadwood ladies?
Yes.
So I actually had the Fat Bottom Betty today. That was the one that I smoked while I was there. But I really like that Crazy Alice one too. I don't know if you've had that one, but that one's pretty good.
Man, Sweet Jane is my thing, man.
Sweet Jane's good.
I love the Sweet Jane. I think it's just such a smooth. It's such a smooth cigar. It's such a smooth kind of quick thing.
Right. I just can't get past freaking Cuba Cuba, man. That's my favorite go-to cigar. Like,
that's a go-to cigar. That's the cigar that. Let's see, I've been smoking cigars since I was 18. That's been the cigar when people ask me like, what should I do to get started? That's what I point them to.
oh yeah, 100%.
The Cuba, because it's the realest. It's the realest shit.
Yeah.
And it's so good, and it really is. If it's gone, that's such a loss. I'm surprised that the Drew Estates people with the event didn't talk about the FDA thing, because you would think that if anything that sells more products for them, because all those people that are there at these events are going to start stockpiling.
Well, that's what I'm going to do. As of right now, at my house, I'm sitting on probably at least 80 Cuba Cubas right now.
Jesus.
Because you need to go on, or you probably already do, but cigarbid.com. check that website out. I usually get 15 Cuba Cubas. I can get them. Sometimes you'll lose an auction or whatever, and you'll have to do it the next day. But you can get 15 Cuba Cubas for like 45 to $50 if you do it on that website.
That's a hell of a deal.
Dude, that's how I've got.
That is a hell of a deal.
I just keep bidding on them, and then I finally just won a bunch of them. And I was like, oh shit, now I have way too many. So I've been trying to smoke through those, but literally cigarbid.com is the cheapest way to buy cigars. 100%.
Well, I think it's been a pretty successful show.
Yeah. And I told you I'm going to send you some, so I'm going to send you some cigars. I will. I promise I will. I'm going to send you a care package of cool stuff. I'm going to get you a t-shirt, and if I win a hat, because I don't wear hats, and you said you want
I love hats, yeah.
Hat. So if I win one when I go to this event here on the 20th, I'll send it to you. Because I don't.
Oh, you're still there on the 20th,
dude. I don't leave until the 24th.
Oh shit! Okay, I didn't realize you were gonna be there for like.
3 weeks.
We have a lot more shows to do in between.
3 weeks, dude.
So we have 3 more shows or 2 more shows
at least
in between. Am I right? Is that 2?
Well, if we do 1 a week, you still got 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you want to do more, 1 a week's fine for me. I
mean, I'm off 2 days a week, and I have nothing to do in this place, so
I can get some content.
Well, we can figure something out.
I'll smoke cigars and do the shows.
It's gonna be so disappointing because I can't smoke a cigar.
I will
and do the show unless I figure out a way to set it up outside.
Then you're gonna be even shittier internet than you already do.
Yeah. I don't know. Actually, Sunday I'm moving. This is a whole ordeal. Like this weekend, the University of Arkansas, the Razorbacks, are hosting their graduation, which is in Fayetteville, which is where I'm actually working. So every hotel in the entire town is booked. So right now I'm staying up in Bentonville, which is like 40 minutes away or whatever. So this coming Sunday, I drive back down there to stay in Fayetteville. So when I get to that hotel, I'm going to see if they have a smoking room. And if they have a smoking room, then it's game on for cigars. And look, he's going to rub it in. That's okay. I already had a fat bottom Betty today. All right. Dennis has a couple comments here before we jump off or just keep bullshitting, whatever. He said the government has been trying to ban flavored cigarettes and cigars for a while because they want to fight teen smoking, like all these edibles from dispensaries that are tempting teens. And then he said he's got to go to work tomorrow, so he's going to bed. And
he's 100% right, but now they're adding it. They're saying it's a race issue. So what they're saying is that menthol cigarettes, like Marlboro Ice, for example, they're saying that cigarettes like that are targeted disproportionately at the African American and LGBTQ communities, and that this ban is going to save lives. And that's what they're saying.
At what point do we just accept giving up all of our goddamn liberties in this fucking country to save somebody else's life?
To me, it's and God, I don't want to make this an episode of political analytical, but to me, it's like, if you look at what's in, and we've had the vape discussions. I think we've had the vape discussions on air, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the ingredients in vape juice, there's 4 ingredients. If you look in the ingredients in this cigar, there's a handful. Mm-hmm. You look at the ingredients in a cigarette, there's hundreds, because it's all just chemicals.
Yeah.
I don't think that the nicotine is really killing people. I don't think that in moderation the tobacco is killing people. I think it's the fucking chemicals they're pumping into these things.
Dude, people have been smoking tobacco for thousands of years. You know what I mean? Thousands. Like,
and listen, is it Is it something that causes, cancer? Is it something that, preventable deaths? Yes. But, I mean, people die every day.
At what point?
Preventable death.
Here's an interesting question, and I'm curious what you're going to say about this. You know, they keep doing these things to save lives and things like that right now, right? At what point are we going to get to where we're so overpopulated that they don't care about saving anybody's life anymore? Like, will we eventually be free then to do whatever we want because we need to decrease population?
I mean, it looks to me like we're kind of at that point. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why there is this push to save lives, and I don't know why it has to become a race issue. I don't know why it has to become a minority issue. I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's just something the FDA is saying to be like, oh, this is a hot subject that deals with African Americans and the LGBTQ plus communities, and at the end of the day, it doesn't just affect those communities; it affects everybody.
Yeah.
This is something that we all lose out on. We all lose out on something as a whole. And by the way, they're saying that they're getting rid of these cigarettes because they're disproportionately targeting African Americans. That sounds racist to me.
I was literally just about to say that.
It sounds racist to me to say, oh, well, the we're taking away the cigarettes from the African Americans and the LGBTQ community members. That sounds more fucked up.
That's kind of what I was curious about. Is like, why does this even have to be a race? Like, why does race have to even be brought up? They always have to try and bring race into absolutely everything. Like, why can't this just be an overall thing? Like, hey, cigarettes are killing people. That's why we're going to ban this, right? Like, why the hell is there race in it at all? Yes, sure, black people smoke Newport cigarettes, and those are menthol. I understand that. But there's also a lot of white people who smoke and Indian people, and Hispanics. I mean, why are we targeting one race over the other for what they smoke?
I think it's one of those things where it's one of those hot button subjects. You can't do something without bringing race into it anymore. And you can't do anything without bringing in your political affiliation. I had this discussion with somebody today who was a lifelong friend. And he's one of those people that, like, has the Trump shirts, the political, and
Right.
making it racial. Their official statements are what's talking about race.
Right.
I mean, I think of like the Ronald Reagan, because this is funny, the Ronald Reagan quote when he says the most dangerous 7 or 9 words or whatever it is "Hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
Very true.
Because like anytime, and it seems like anytime one of these government officials makes a statement, it's just pushing their own agenda.
Yeah.
That's all it ever is. And that's why that statement from Ronald Reagan, "Hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help," is so funny to me.
Yeah, that is.
Because he's right, but he's also a guy from the government who claimed to help.
Right.
It's just funny. But I guess with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will bid you a farewell.
Yeah, I guess we better get off. It's probably late where you're at. Oh, yeah, it's after 11. Not that it matters to you. You'll stay up till 5 a.m.
Yeah, I'll be up. I would do this show forever,
Yeah. No, it was cool just sitting here bullshitting. Now I really want a cigar. I ain't gonna lie. I might have to go smoke one of these croquetas. Although they said that the lady who owns the cigar bar, I sat and talked with her for a while, and she said this is supposed to be apparently croqueta is a Spanish word for some sort of appetizer or something. It's like, I don't know, like a mozzarella stick or something like that. I don't know, some deep fried thing. And that's what it's supposed to resemble, but there's 2 in this little glass tube, and she said you're supposed to either smoke them back to back, or you give one to a friend and you smoke them together. So that's
Yeah, those are the give to the friend ones.
Right.
It's I got a completely different spiel when
Oh,
I
yeah?
was talking to a guy.
Okay.
Yeah. The spiel that I got was that those are placed that way because for two reasons. Number one, it's one of those like memorial things for like somebody who has fallen. So you're supposed to smoke a cigar for you and smoke a cigar for them, or if the person's alive, you give them the cigar and smoke the cigar together.
Okay. That makes sense.
That's the spiel I got. I don't know what shit. Like, I don't know what the fuck. Maybe he was wrong. I don't know.
Okay.
You know what we should do?
Huh.
We should do a cigar podcast one of these days and just get some Drew Estates people on to talk to us.
Dude, we could probably make that happen.
I mean, I bet you if I'm in a Discord server that's a Drew Estates server.
Oh, really?
And there's a lot of the representatives in there. I bet you if I just dropped my criteria in there, somebody would snag.
All right, that's your goal.
I bet somebody would snag.
You need to do that. We
I'll
need
see
to
what I
do
can
that,
do.
dude. We'll pour some drinks, smoke a cigar, chit chat about cigars.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
dope.
like what's cool about it too is that we're both relatively young people that smoke.
Yeah.
And that's like so hard to find.
It is.
Like how many of those people at that cigar shop were over the age of 45?
All of them.
Exactly.
I was the only young person in there.
When me and my three people walked in, it was like, because those guys have been there before, I hadn't. It was like, oh Jesus, I'm the youngest person here, and I was the youngest person there.
Yeah. No, they really do have to figure out how to start targeting younger people, or that their business will be gone in 20 years.
But this is what's funny. This is what's funny to me. See, the FDA is saying, "Oh, this is all targeted at children," but what I'm saying is all the evidence that I have is that it's the opposite.
Right. Right.
Like none of this shit's targeted at kids. None of it.
Yeah, I don't see anything that's targeted at kids. It's targeted towards adults who have the right to make their own damn decision.
Like, I don't even see, like, young people really smoking cigarettes much anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's not even really a thing. Yeah, but, like, it's not nearly as common as it was maybe 10 years ago.
Right, right.
Because everybody made that conscious decision, like, 10 years ago. We're going to quit chain smoking. You know, we're going to move to what we believe are healthier alternatives. We're going to smoke a cigar once a month as opposed to smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day.
Right.
We're going to vape every here and there as opposed to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. You know, it's just everybody's made these adjustments. I just think it's all stupid. But we need to get the fuck out of here. These guys are bored and no one's watching anyway.
All right, we're getting off. Okay, guys, don't forget the 28th, 9 p.m. Hellier series that we're going to, or the Hellier show that we're going to do. Make sure you guys watch season 1 and season 2 of Hellier. If you want to tag along, join in on that discussion. Maybe you've already seen it, and that will be probably good enough because I'm pretty sure we're going to recap it really well for you. But if you do want to watch it, that would be awesome. So the 28th, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Also, keep an eye out for Landon's announcement on the Discord because we'll be launching that soon.
Right. All right, guys, we're getting